Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Let us go ahead and take IAS Economics Optional 2022, question 1b today, right? We have done question 1a. We are going to go ahead with question 1b, first of all, in today's class. Okay, so write down the question. Try to do this yourself first, huh? Then I will go ahead and I will do it for you. So the question says, discuss the concept of liquidity trap in the liquidity preference model of interest. In the liquidity preference model of interest. Try to do this yourself, then we will do it. So again, the weightage of this is, the word limit, not weightage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let us go ahead and
The word limit of this is 150 words, just like we had in the last class. The word limit remains 150 word. You try to answer this according to a 10-mark question. Okay. Now, just try to understand here that, the question is asking us about the concept of liquidity trap. And it has also mentioned to us that we want to do it with reference with the, what happens to liquidity trap in the liquidity preference model, right? First of all, if I have to answer this question, I must go ahead and I must tell in my question that I know who gave this model, right? That's the beginning point, that you go ahead and you tell who started by giving this model. So we, all of us know that the liquidity preference model, it was given by Keynes, right? So that's my starting point, that Keynes started giving the liquidity preference model, but I should not go ahead and I should directly say Keynes, right? Rather, I must go ahead and I must mention in my question that, in the model given by Keynes about liquidity trap, this and this happened. So I don't waste a line just telling that Keynes gave this model. Rather, I explain in detail what this model, in the first line itself, what this model is about, but also mention that it was given by Keynes. So you do the two things simultaneously, right? So that's the first thing which I want to highlight here. The second thing which is important here in this question is that you have to make sure that, whenever such questions are asked where a diagram is possible, right? In such questions, you will show a graph of liquidity trap, right? So like the last question we did, right? It was possible to go ahead and to talk about, we could have gone ahead and we could have given a graph about monopolistic competition, right? We could show that where he reaches his equilibrium, what excess capacity is. So we plotted a graph for it, है ना? हमने उसके लिए graph plot किया. Same is the case here. We must go ahead and we must plot a graph for it. That way, it becomes easier for us to answer the question. And whoever is looking at your answer, they will also be sure कि हाँ यार इनको तो ये चीज अच्छे से आती है. So that way you will be more sorted. Okay. ठीक है बेटा. Now let's try to answer this question. So write it with me. Look at the wording that I will be using. ठीक है. Okay. In the liquidity preference model of interest, Keynes highlighted. यहीं से मैंने बता दिया कि देखो मुझे पता है कि ये मॉडल जो है वो केन्स ने दिया था, right? Because I've said that Keynes is the one who is highlighting things in this model. I'm not wasting a line saying it was given by Keynes in 1938 for London. No, not that, right? I have showed the person, the reader, that I know it was given by Keynes. It's a Keynes highlighted the concept of liquidity trap. Now we mention what liquidity trap is. He mentioned that again, up to you, huh? Just I could have written that Keynes highlighted that the concept of liquidity trap. I can remove this part also, beta, and I can simply say is. Answer writing is a skill. आंसर सबको आता होगा, जितने भी एग्जाम में बैठ रहे होंगे सबको पता होगा लिक्विडिटी ट्रैप क्या है, बट उसको कैसे लिखना है वो एक स्किल है ना? उस चीज को आपको अब एक्सेल करना है, आपको वो जानना है कि उसको हम लिख कैसे सकते हैं, right? So try to understand. In the liquidity preference model of interest, Keynes highlighted that the concept of liquidity trap is that at very low interest rate, people expect rates to rise in future, leading to falling bond prices. Hence, they prefer to hold money in liquid cash instead of investing in bonds. Instead of investing in bonds. So हमने यहाँ पे बता दिया that what people do during liquidity trap, they hold money in the liquid form in their hands rather than investing that money because the interest rate is very low. तो क्योंकि इंटरेस्ट रेट वेरी लो है तो उनको लगता है कि फ्यूचर में इंटरेस्ट रेट बढ़ेगा ही और इस इंटरेस्ट रेट पे इन्वेस्ट करने का कोई फायदा नहीं है, राइट? इन दिस सिचुएशन the demand for money becomes infinitely elastic and any increase in money supply leads to further fall in interest rate. तो basically क्या हो गया ना, that even if you increase money supply, people will simply just keep it in the liquid format, right? The monetary policy becomes ineffective and cannot stimulate investment and growth. Cannot stimulate investment and growth. So now what we have gone ahead and what we have done, beta, is that हमने सबसे पहले we defined what is liquidity trap. इतने पार्ट में हमने बता दिया कि liquidity trap क्या होता है. With a special mention that we know who gave the liquidity trap, it was given by Keynes. तो हमने ये वाला पार्ट fulfill कर दिया. We know it was given by Keynes and we know what liquidity trap is. उसके बाद हमने क्या किया? We explained this in detail and then we said what happens during this situation हमने वो भी बता दिया है. Further, we also talked about the effectiveness of monetary policy, whether it is effective or not effective. We have gone ahead and explained that also. ठीक है. अब हम बताएंगे कि when liquidity trap happens, और हम ये भी बता देंगे कि इस सिचुएशन में केन्स ने क्या बोला है, what to do, right? And we'll conclude the answer. So write down the liquidity trap usually happens. Don't use the word usually, it's a very casual word in English. So it occurs during depression or deflation, when business confidence is weak and interest rate are near zero. Interest rates are near zero. Keynes argued that under such situation, fiscal policy through government expenditure can revive demand and employment. Can revive demand and employment. Right? Is it clear? So, beta, इस आंसर में हमने सब कुछ, whatever is possible, we have gone ahead and we have covered that. Acha, now let's try to see whether we are well within the word limit or not. So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words on an average, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't consider this 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 into 6 words on an average, 120 words. So we are well within the word limit. Now we can just go ahead and we can finally draw a graph of liquidity trap, and that will be the answer completion. Samjhe? Is it clear? Okay, so let's just do that. Okay, now I want to show this through two parts. So the first diagram that I want to reflect is this, right? And I take money here and I take interest rate here, right? And we can say that this part is my liquidity trap. Right, this part is my liquidity trap. Right, this is speculative, right? And this is representing transactionary plus precautionary. Right. So, because the money demand has become horizontal, therefore this reflects the liquidity trap. So we can say that in the graph, the money demand curve becomes flat at low interest rate, which indicates liquidity trap. which indicates liquidity trap. Is it clear? So this phase itself, it was introduced by Keynes during the period of Great Depression, right? And that is the reason why we can say that this occurs during Great Depression. Okay. Now, this is diagram number 1, beta. Okay. If you want, you can stop here. If you want, you can also show what happens during liquidity trap. So here I would like to just I left the word doesn't. It changes the entire meaning. Doesn't lead to further fall in interest rate. So changes in money supply don't change the interest rate. Blunder. Huh. So now look here. This is my money supply beta. Under usual circumstances, if I have a downward sloping demand curve of money, when I increase the supply of money, the interest rate decreases. But here, if I increase the supply of money, the interest rate remains unchanged. And if I decrease the supply of money also, the interest rate remains unchanged, right? So because the demand curve is horizontal, although we show this aspect of demand curve, but usually this is liquidity trap. The demand curve is horizontal, right? We want to show it that after certain interest rate, it has become horizontal. That is why I'm showing it like this. But since the demand curve is horizontal, any increase or decrease in the supply of money does not change the interest rate, right? You are trapped in a situation where you are not able to change the interest rate. So usually what happens when you increase the supply of money, interest rate decreases, investment increases, GDP increases. It's a stimulating thing, right? It's expansionary monetary policy under usual circumstances, right? But here what happens is when money supply is increasing, interest rate is unchanged, so my investment is unchanged, so the monetary policy has become ineffective. The monetary policy has become ineffective. So if you want, you can also show this diagram to show the ineffectiveness of monetary policy. Okay. Why the monetary policy is ineffective. Is it clear? Okay. Okay. So we will wrap up this question here, and I hope that this is useful for you. When you practice, make sure you get those answers checked from me so that I know I can highlight कि आपने कहाँ कहाँ क्या क्या गलती की है. You get your answers checked from me, huh?